Alright guys, here it is, the transmission range switch. Plug for it. It's a I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's a 10 plug prong. I don't know if you guys can see that. Hopefully you can see that. But here it is. Here's a key part right here is to make sure when you take this off, you note the position of this switch, whether it be in park or neutral. Because if you put it back on and it's not in the correct spot, then you're going to have some strange problems going on. The ECU won't know what gear you're in, be that park, reverse, neutral. So just pay very close attention when you take this off, and I'll remind you guys when I'm actually doing work. You know, good thing to do is mark this exactly which way it's facing, so that you know when you put the new one on exactly how to move this. And this can be moved as well, relatively easy. You just have moving it here. So, I think one thing to keep in mind when you put the new one on. Alright, let's get started. Alright, first thing you gotta do is take off this wheel. So, let's do that. Let's take off this wheel. Alright, now that's off, I'm gonna leave the jack stand there, and I'm gonna put some, this car is actually lowered a little bit, so I'm actually gonna use some blocks of wood to keep it stabilized and not rely just on the jack. We typically use a jack stand. Here's the cover where the transmission range switch, neutral safety switch is. There's a bolt here, a 10mm bolt here, and here. Only 2 bolts that hold this cover on. It's a steel cover. So I'm going to go ahead and take that off. Once you have that off, go ahead, take your bolts. I typically like to just, set them inside, put that off to the side. Now here it is. Here's what I'm talking about. Let's see, hang on, Okay, here it is. Here's the neutral safety switch, transmission range switch. The part I was talking to you about earlier, this is actually where there's a little metal stub, whatever, that comes out of the transmission and connects into the switch right here. What actually tells the ECU, the computer, what range it's in. So there's 2 bolts that hold this on. 1, 2. 1 bolt here, 1 here, and 1 right up here. There's a couple in the back that I will also need to get off, but let's go ahead and remove these. Now, some people, I've read some stuff online that says, people are asking, do I leave it in neutral, do I leave it in park, put it in reverse when you do this. I go ahead and leave it in park, just for safety reason. If you leave it in neutral, then something happens, the car gets hit, or, whatever the case may be, and falls off. You don't have that extra protection of the transmission being in park. So I go ahead and leave it in park, and I live in Southern California also, so there's always a risk of a earthquake or a major earthquake coming. And we'll move this 3rd one, and then I'll show you how to get to the ones in the back as well. And then there's this bolt right here that's part of the, there's a piece of metal that goes on the wiring loom to the connector to the switch. This needs to be taken off as well, so go ahead and take that off right now. Just a 10mm. So that's loose. Alright, right here is where the transmission range sensor neutral safety switch connects to the wiring harness, the wiring loom. It is right here, this one right here, and then that clip right there needs to be popped out as part of the it's connected to the it's connected to the old neutral safety switch. It's part of the wiring loom, as you can see. So it's just kind of like a tang. You need like needle nose pliers to push the two ends together, and it just pops out. These come in handy all the time. You know, if you're a mechanic, shade tree mechanic, backyard mechanic, whatever the case may be. If you don't have one right now, go get yourself one from any parts store. It's a small screwdriver used for you know, getting into tight spots. And basically, I use this thing all the time. When I was at the dealership, I used this hundreds of times a day. I kept it in my pocket to be used. But I'm going to use it right now to disengage the connector to a metal bracket that's part of the engine, that's attached to part of the engine. I'm going to try to get this shot right here. Show you guys what I'm talking about. So before I did this, let's see, where is it? Okay, that section. Come on, focus, 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 focus. That is the back of the connector. This is actually bouncing off a mirror, so that's how you're able to see it. This, there's a metal clip that is attached to the engine that the connector sits on. Okay, you can see right there at the bottom of the screen. I took the small screwdriver and I stuck it between the top of the metal tang and the bottom of the connector. What that did is allowed me to free that connector off of that metal tang without breaking the connector, because it actually is part of the engine harness, so you don't really want to break that connector at all possible. I found this the easiest way to be able to disconnect the switch, neutral safety switch, from the wiring harness. So I went ahead and disconnected that. So I disconnected that. I'm going to reach back there, I'm going to pull the connector off, which I'll try to show. That's the mirror right there. So then the connector just comes off. And then this part, let's see if you can see that. This right here is what you have to press down on, while at the same time simultaneously pulling this side of the connector off. So you have to push this tang down, holding this, and then pulling this at the same time. So let me see if I can show you guys that as well. But like I said, I found it easiest to pull it off the tang, and then I'm going to grab it with both hands and pull it apart. So as you can, I'm holding the connector right here. You have to hold this part. This is the side that goes to the switch. This side is a part of the engine wiring harness. So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can go ahead and disconnect this. Like I said, you have to hold this side, push down this top tang, and it should release. Alright, it's apart. That's how quick it was. But like I said, if you can, take it off that tang that's connected to the engine. Get it loose like this. Gives you a little bit more room to work on. It's a pretty confined space back there. And there it is, free. That was the hard part. That was probably the hardest part of this whole job. Alright, there's the switch itself. Now before everything's loose and disconnected, before I take it off completely, I'm going to mark it with a pen. I'm going to mark the orientation of the way this switch is positioned. It's in park right now. Like I was explaining earlier, some people say neutral, some people say park. I always do it in park, you know, just to be on the safe side of this car not falling off and smashing my head. So I'll go ahead and I'll take this pin, mark it here as well. That way I can line up the new one before I install it, make sure everything's correct, and then bolt everything up. I'm not going to go through installation. Installation is the reverse of removal. So if you guys have any questions, you know, email me. I'll be glad to help you out. And like always, if you like my videos, please like them, subscribe to my channel. There'll be more coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.